Hello, everyone. This is Darcinovia here. This is an introduction because I feel like with things that has happened, and now that I've been authorized to make this podcast public once again, I'd like to tell everyone in my audience thank you for your support. This podcast is basically what started this schism in the first place between me and Liberal. And I stood by my convictions. I don't take anything back that I've said in this podcast. Unfortunately, Be Liberal never let this video public on Ewoks Unhinged. Never let the audience in the comment sections decide for themselves what I said was correct or not. They never had that chance. They never had that chance to actually ask me questions or actually challenge me in the sections. I will never know what motivated B-Level to take down this podcast originally, other than speculation. I did this video originally to damage control because of B-Level gaslighting Maoist Third Worldist movement. I thought it was wrong. Jason contacted me and requested that I removed it. Because I respected Jason, my respect for Jason superseded my respect for B-Level, which at this time, I thought B-Level was my friend at the time I did this video. It is important to give context for people that do not know what happened, what caused the controversy to happen in the first place, and for those who watched the podcast, who watched it when it aired, the people that actually know about the podcast's existence, there's like almost no evidence that this podcast exists. We could thank Be Liberal for that. Up until now, I've kept this podcast hidden, and I have not been authorized to release it until now. Now, this podcast, when you think about it in retrospect, does expose how B-Level did not know his audience at all. Now, this is before, we knew what was really going on. There was a lot of Nazbols in the chat. And B-Level did not know that a good chunk of his audience were Nazbols. And eventually, things would take a turn for the worse. He would stab a Nicholson in the back and blame all these problems on him. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because this video at the beginning starts off me talking about Nazbols. Then I talk about revolutionary pan-Europeanism. This is before Jason did his own video on the subject. He touched on it here and there in other videos. But it wasn't until recently when Jason, talked about it and actually gave context of what revolutionary pan-Europeanism is. And B-Level twisted what I said in this podcast and was basically claiming I was spreading white supremacist propaganda. And I was fucking, of course, I would eventually go to the Uncle Thomas stream. Terrible decision on my part. And that would be the end of it for a while. B-Level suppressed this podcast, and that's when things really did deteriorate between me and B-Level. Me and B-Level did eventually make up. But him removing this podcast pissed me off. Because I still genuinely believe I did a good job with this podcast despite my mental state. This is the podcast for those who don't know about this. I came out as a third worldist in this very podcast. Was it the right decision to do that at the time? Maybe I should have waited until I was more versed in, in Marxism before I made such a thing. But what's done is done. This is the podcast B Liberal would plot behind the scenes, which would motivate him to plot my downfall. It almost worked. Unfortunately for B Liberal, things didn't turn out the way he wished. The truth did eventually come out, and I'm not going to explain what happened because there's an entire playlist if you want to understand the controversy. I know there's people that are going to watch this podcast that are going to disagree with it. That's fine. Because I'm going to allow people to actually talk about this podcast. Because Be Liberal didn't allow anybody to actually talk about this podcast or actually have a discussion. It's unfortunate people are not going to be able to see the comments because that version of the video is no longer exists. This is all that remains. This is the best I can get out of, that podcast. In my opinion, this was the last Ewoks Unhinged podcast that I was ever part of. Because after this, Ewoks Unhinged died for me. When I really think about it in retrospect, it wasn't the same. I didn't have the passion for the last few podcasts. This was truly, my first solo and only solo podcast. This would start a trend that all of you guys are seeing now where I do podcasts solo. Now, I know when you watch this, you're going to disagree with it for those of you who are against the idea of pan-Europeanism, because that's what this podcast is mainly about. Revolutionary pan-Europeanism. And because I trust that you're not like B-Level. You're not going to argue in bad faith. That you're going to ask questions like you should. And for those of you who aren't my biggest fans, I encourage you to watch this too, so you can actually get the full context of what Be Liberal was talking about. Whether you agree with it or not, I don't care. That way you could see for yourself what that snake was lying about. Now, without further ado, this has been going on long enough. I'm going to let you watch my podcast that aired on December 1st, 2020, how it was originally intended. Thank you, and enjoy. Hello, everyone. This is Darcenovia on Ewoks Unhinged. How you guys doing today? Be sure to watch B-Level stream today. It will be equally as valid as this one. Now, I'm sorry. Not too long ago, my mother passed away. I normally would not be doing something like this, but what's happening right now is just too important for me to delay it. And I value the cadres. I value my, audience over guest. I really do. And yeah. And another thing, Maoist third worldist movement will always be welcomed here. And he is 20 years older than Jason, who is the current editor of two underrated third worldist blogs. I will always welcome him here. And another announcement I'm going to say is I'm a third worldist because I feel like being in an ML, in North America just isn't good enough. If you're going to be an ML, I would say take the examples of Denki Kang, Red Scare, and Fellow Traveler. Jason Unruh did a great video yesterday on this very subject, and I suggest you watch that after you watch this because I think he makes a great point in like under 10 minutes about, the problematic, nature of, MLs online and how they tolerate Nazbols and incels. Nothing is happening, so just stay tuned for B-Level's video. It's just as important as this one. I just haven't had a chance to give my thoughts about the Nazbol thing. So I know people, it may seem like a joke, but it's not. The cadres, I've talked to them. They take this very seriously. And the thing we got to take into consideration regarding, Nazbols, they may be a joke and it's hard to take them seriously, but it's a mistake not to at least, see why they're such a threat. They may not pose a physical threat, but if you're a cadre and you are fighting against this fascist state, you will take Nazbols very seriously. What I'm doing right now, I'm safe. I'm in my house doing this very, stream. But what the cadres are doing is far more work than what I'm doing. These people are putting their lives on the line. These people can get killed, doing what they're doing. And I fully support the cadres. I will always support the cadres over anybody else. Jason Unruh, a hero of mine, does it, and I do it too. And the cadres, I value them and their support over anybody else. Maoist third worldist movement is somebody we should be looking up to and talk to, and he's someone that I respect. I really do respect him. I really do. Anybody that is that's been doing this for 60 years, well, I don't know 60, but for decades, in my opinion, they have the wisdom. They have everything. We should be listening to them. And if we're making a mistake, well, they know what they're talking about because they've been doing this longer than any of us have been alive. Jason, I would consider him the father of communist YouTube. Maoist, third worldist movement. He, I don't know him personally. I haven't had a chance to speak to him, but what he's been doing some real work that has helped, many people in his life. And we got to treat these people with respect because, not treating them with respect, I feel like is counter, revolutionary. And it doesn't do any favors, honestly. Oh, and Nicholson. Nicholson, was great. I watched the podcast. I think Nicholson is a great guest. I would like to work with him in the future. And, well, yeah. Let's see. Why do you think Maoists who engage in peoples who are not third world is they don't dismiss the possibility of the first world? That's a question you're better off asking Maoist third worldist movement because honestly, I'm a baby third worldist. I just literally just started becoming one. So I'm not qualified to answer that question right now. Honestly, give me a few months and I might be able to answer that question. Now, the Nazbols, honestly, one thing that really pisses me off, and one thing we should be doing, is we should have a zero tolerance policy for Nazbols. But in fact, in my opinion, those who tolerate them are far worse than the Nazbols themselves because those who tolerate them, basically endorse the Nazbols. So I'm going to be saying this. I have nothing against MLs. I think MLs, I think they're good people that truly do desire to, fight against the capitalist system. They truly, want to help, their communities. But if you tolerate Nazbols, you're not a comrade of mine. Don't be like those internet Marxist Leninists. If you're going to be a Marxist Leninist, be Red Scare, be Denki Kang, be Hakim, be Fellow Traveler. That's who you should be if you want to be an ML, because those are the best MLs I can think of. In my opinion, I think that they are the best representation of Marxist Leninism because I could tell you from experience, Marxist Leninists, they shit on anarchists a lot, but we rarely see them do the same for Nazbols. And what pisses me off, honestly, on this entire thing regarding the Nazbols is they may be a joke and they may be a meme, but we shouldn't underestimate our enemies under any circumstances. Our enemies will take advantage of the fact that we don't take them seriously. And if we don't take them seriously, then they will take advantage of that. And that's how, they will win. Yeah, there should be zero tolerance towards reactionaries. I agree. But here's the thing. I think almost all of us start off as a reactionary in one way or another. It depends on what kind of reactionary you're talking about. Because, let's be honest here, the lumpen, a lot of them are going to be reactionary. We shouldn't just shut the door on them. We should try and attempt to actually get as much of the lumpen as possible. We cannot afford, we cannot afford, to be picky because no one's going to have perfect worldviews. There's some leftists that have some reactionary views, but you know what? We are all products of our cultures that we are born into. And we can't just, I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. I do think we should have a, zero tolerance towards reactionaries that refuse to change. That's something I could get behind. That is legitimate, but there's third worldists like Jason who are not that way. The thing is, the first thing I think anybody should do when they become a leftist is deprogramming themselves. Because let's be honest here, if you're not going to read on history or read on anti-racist literature, you're not, you're still going to hold those views. You could be a third worldist, but still be just as racist as you were if you were a conservative. So I feel like you shouldn't focus on theory at first when you get out of those views. You should mostly focus on reading anti-racist literature and history. That's what you should be doing. I think theory should come afterwards once you've successfully deprogrammed yourself of those views. That's just my opinion. I still I do think that the Nazbols do pose a problem. They're not as big of a problem as a fascist militia. They're not as big of a problem as these other groups. But if the cadres are telling you that they're a problem, we should fucking listen. I'm sorry. The cadres know more what's going on the ground than we do. The cadres are the ones that are fighting against this fascist state. They're the ones that are getting killed. They're the ones that are dying. And they don't think the same way you and I do. I'm not going to lie. From an outsider, it would sound like they're paranoid. Well, no shit. If you're at war with a enemy that has the means to kill you, your family, your friends, you're going to be paranoid too. It is natural to be paranoid, honestly. And, oh yeah, the fourth world. The fourth world is the lumpen and the natives that live on the on the reservations. I cannot even pronounce that word right now. The natives and the lumpen are the fourth world. I think Jason is far more qualified to explain what the fourth world is better than I am. Or Maoist third worldist movement. Yeah. Also, another thing about Nazbols, they do when there is a protest, they show up on the counter protest side. It would say for George Floyd as an example. Nobody said that Nazbols were stupid. I mean, aren't stupid. They are. Also, another thing, honestly, that that we have to do more is, honestly, as communists, or honestly, we need to actually start, talking to people on the ground more. We need to start actually lifting them up. We need to actually focus on that. None of this, these things on social media mean a goddamn thing in the grand scheme of things. They really don't. To people that are fighting and dying on the streets, they don't give a fuck, if you have this perfect line, like blah, 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 blah. And none of them give a fuck about a bunch of dead people, what they have to say about this X and the X and that. And one thing I'm going to go on a limb here and say this. We need to respect the anarchists. I don't care if you agree with them. I don't care if you don't like their ideology. I don't care if you do not, want to, listen to what they have to say. That you need to respect them. The anarchists of today are not the same as the anarchists 100 years ago. Don't throw the book of Joseph Stalin, socialism versus anarchism, because it doesn't apply to the 2020s. The book was relevant when it was published, but it's not relevant now. And anarchism has evolved, since then, just like communism, and just like, everything else. Let's see. It's just highlighting. Yes, I agree. Social media does melt your brain. It really does. This entire stream, I felt like I had to do it for the, people that are fighting and dying in the streets. The anarchists, are getting shit from the MLs, and they're not getting the respect that they deserve. And don't get me wrong. I think there's a lot of MLs I've met that are cool. The guys who are watching this right now, you guys are cool. But I'm not referring to. I'm referring to those who continue to shit on, the anarchists, but tolerate the Nazbols. And quite frankly, I'm tired of it. Incels should also not be tolerated. But then again, incels is such a stupid fucking word that, oh my God. No, oh my God. I do not fucking. Well, okay, here's the thing about, anarchists. The anarchists that I'm talking about, there's a huge distinction between fucking stupid ass rad libs like, Vosh, Xanderpig, to anarchists that are, like the obnoxious anarchists, to, to people that are out in the street fighting and dying against this fascist government. There's a fucking difference between the two. And I think and that's the thing, most MLs just don't distinguish the difference between the two. Between, a real legitimate anarchist to a, what Denki King calls them, anarchitties. The real anarchists are not on social media. The real anarchists are fighting in the streets. And they're doing some real work. I mean, I'm sorry. I respect the people that are doing real stuff on the ground over people that don't. This video is not about, in-depth discussion on the Nazbols. It's mostly about, talking about the threat of the Nazbols and how we should take them seriously. Okay. They're not. Ask a cadre on the street if they're not to be taken seriously. Ask the cadres out in the street. I'm sorry. We cannot just ignore them because they don't affect you or they don't affect me. The people that are fighting out in the streets, they have to worry about this sort of thing. They don't have the luxury of saying, oh, these people are a joke. Okay, they are a joke. There's no denying that, but they are a dangerous joke. They discredit, communists, and they make us look no better than Nazis. Us not taking this seriously, is the dumbest thing we could possibly do. What we do on social media affects the real world. It truly does. Of course, yes, I know that, but that does not mean that the Nazbols shouldn't be taken seriously. Listen to the cadres. They know what they're talking about. So honestly, underestimating our enemies is the biggest mistake any of us can make. It's one of the reasons why communism, was defeated in the Cold War. It's one of the reasons why it continues to get defeated, because we cannot fucking get our heads out of our ass and actually, fight against the enemy. It is easier for us to organize than ever before, but it's more difficult for us to agree on anything because we're too busy talking about these petty fucking shit that happened 100 years ago. Nobody cares. I mean, seriously, go ask someone like Black Redguard, a cadre, a fellow cadre, in Missouri. Ask him if the Nazbols aren't a threat. Ask someone like him, and he'll, honestly, I dare you. I'm sorry, I'm not gaslighting you or anything, but I feel like, we shouldn't, just downplay the threat just because it doesn't affect us. Well, that may be the case, but it doesn't matter. The Nazbols are not something we should take lightly. And if we do not, want, our reputation to be ruined, we should be openly, denouncing these people. We should kick them out of any group that they try to get in. We shouldn't allow them anywhere. And on Ewoks Unhinged, no Nazbol or incel is allowed. I have zero tolerance for those people. because these people are a problem. They, you know, they only exist to cause division, and incels are entitled white men that feel entitled to sex, and I don't have a tolerance for those people. Okay, social nationalism. Okay, nationalism is neither good or bad. It just depends what kind of nationalism we're talking about. If it's nationalism for the oppressed, yes, it's good. But if it's white nationalism, which is obviously it's bad. But here's the thing: American nationalism is essentially white nationalism. Nationalism in a country, let's say like in Venezuela, is not the same. Oh, yes, the Sims are not. The Sims are fucking. Yeah, the Sims are like a low tier incel. But yeah, whatever. That's not the stream for that. Oh yeah, it is. It definitely is a good thing. It really is a good thing, honestly. And I know we all do this, but one thing the left should be doing, we shouldn't be afraid to openly support organizations like the RRA, Hamas, or the Bundes movement. These groups, whether you agree with them or not, are fighting against an oppressive, empire. I know we all support them, at least I hope we would, but we shouldn't be afraid to openly and proudly say we support these organizations. I support Hamas, I support the RRA, and I support the Bundes movement. I support all three of these. There is no exceptions to this. They're doing, and the Palestinian liberation, movement as well. Anything that involves liberation, anything that fights against the oppression, I'll proudly support it. And you know what? I am not afraid to say this. I support Hamas, I support the RRA, and I support the Bundes movement. It's very imperative that that we support them, and I will proudly support them because we are all in this together. We all have a common enemy, and that is America. Americanism is the biggest threat to the existence of humanity. And yeah, agreed. I'm sorry, I'm horrible at pronouncing it. Hezbollah. I support them as well. Wait, I'm sorry. I hope I don't make myself look like an idiot. I'm sorry. I'm under a lot of stress because of what happened with my mother. And oh yeah, in Nicholson, yeah, the guy is a cool guy. I liked him. I think he did a pretty, good stream, and I'm looking forward to working with him. Yeah, American imperialism is the enemy. It doesn't matter what it is, honestly. American imperialism is the biggest enemy to all of humanity. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. I don't believe anything is going to be gained by preserving America in any way. America, in every way possible, needs to be completely destroyed. I believe the land of America should be given back to the natives, and they should decide who lives here and who doesn't. I mean, let Europe deal with the problem. I'm sorry. Europe is the reason why all of us are here. And I believe that the Europe should resolve the problems that they have created in the first place. We've caused too much, damage to this land. I mean, how many, I mean, seriously, COVID-19, I'm starting to believe it was karma for what America has been doing around the world. It really is karma. And as far as I'm concerned, if you are going to say death to Israel, but not say the same for America, then I question you on how legit you really are when it comes to being an anti-imperialist. because I don't believe either one of these countries should exist. America, because it is everything that is evil about the world. America, after all, inspired the Nazis. America emboldens Zionism. America is the worst kind of fascism imaginable. The kind of fascism that looks like a democracy that isn't a dictatorship. When I became a third worldist, Malcolm X's autobiography. Malcolm X's autobiography, his analysis on the world, Malcolm X's everything that he talked about, his material analysis in that one book alone, everything was far better than a lot of Marxist texts. Malcolm X, is one of the reasons I'm a leftist. Malcolm X is one of the reasons why, I became an anti-racist, and why I became, intolerant towards atheists. Malcolm X's, autobiography, I do feel like is essential if you're going to call yourself a third worldist. If you are a third worldist and you haven't read Malcolm X's autobiography yet, you need to read it. It is one of the most important, writings of third worldism, and I don't see third worldism existing without Malcolm X. Malcolm X is one of the most important, aspects of third worldism, and I'm going to stand by that. Oh yes, and the obnoxious anarchists. We do need a cultural revolution. We can't even have a socialist revolution without a cultural revolution. We really do. We really do need a revolution. I mean, if we don't, have a socialist revolution, then we're not. Then you might as well be a Nazi, because let's be honest here, America is too reactionary to have a socialist revolution. We would need at least a 2 or 3 generations, realistically, if we want to build socialism in America, before we did that. But if I have to be honest here, America, I don't have any desire to save this country. I think America has had many chances to get redemption, and it squandered it every time. The only people I care about are those who are dying and fighting in the streets. Honestly, the lumpen, for me, and the poor working class. Though I'm starting to have any doubts if there is a working class in America. The lumpen are the only people that I think are worth trying to save, because they suffer the worst conditions, and being a lumpen is not easy. Death is around every corner. You could die at any time, and they suffer the worst, conditions, of any part of the, of American society. And the lumpen are the people that will always get my support. Because let's be honest here, any one of us could be poor. Any one of us could be out in the street at any time because of capitalism. And we cannot afford not to support the lumpen. The lumpen are the vanguard. The anarchists are the vanguard. The Native Americans are the vanguard. We cannot afford to not defend these people. They are our comrades. These people are the future of socialism. And to not actually defend these people, to help these people in any way, is fucking reactionary. I am sorry. Honestly. Oh, there are chauvinists. You are correct. You really are correct. I'm not saying it's not impossible to radicalize working class people, but it just, America is so much different than other first world countries. America is like one of the few countries in the world that actually start off capitalist when it was first founded, because every other country, had a monarchy before they became capitalist. So America from the very start has been a capitalist country. So that's the difference between America and a country like England or France or Italy etc. Yes, Native Americans are the future, and they're the hope for humanity. And they're being killed to this day by the U.S. government. They're still being murdered. And in other parts of the world, in Canada especially, B-Level has told me this on multiple conversations on how, what the fucked up shit that's going on with the natives in Canada. It's like the natives all around the North American continent are still getting murdered by the Canadian and American governments. It's in their best interest of wiping these people out. Because as long as the Native Americans exist, Americans are reminded that this land doesn't really belong to them, that this land was originally the Native Americans. Yes, I agree. It is very difficult, which is why we shouldn't be so focused on trying to I don't think we should focus too much on the working class. We should focus on the lumpen. The lumpen, are the most revolutionary, group of American society. And as far as I'm concerned, it's not worth our time trying to focus on the working class when we can focus on the lumpen. Not saying you can't radicalize people in the working class, but I don't think they should be a priority. The people in the lumpen should be the priority, because one, the lumpen know better than anyone how fucked up this system is. They know, that they're on the verge of being homeless. They're on the verge of dying at any point. They know better than anyone. The working class, I know this from experience. Try talking to them about, social problems. They're bought off. The working class, for the most part, in America is bought off. Yes, the working class, there are poor working class people, but they're not the lumpen. We cannot, afford to waste precious time on a class of people that just don't want to fucking listen. Honestly. And here's the thing. We got to listen to, this is why we need to listen to the anarchists. The anarchists in the 21st century, most of them are the lumpen. And it's fucking stupid to fucking, be anti-anarchists when most of the anarchists are fucking the lumpen. Yes, Vosh is a fucking radlib. Same thing with Xander fucking Pig. He misrepresents, anarchism. We have the fucking caps misrepresenting anarchism. We should be helping these people, fighting against these groups, because the right will do what they've always done: co-opt the ideology of the left and make it look like it was always their idea. They're trying to do this with fucking anarchism, with anarcho-capitalism. Okay, yes, we have our disagreements with the anarchists. Yes, we do. But to be honest, it's irrelevant. We could deal with that stuff afterwards. We have the same enemy at the end of the day. Climate change is going to kill us all. Capitalism will kill us all. And we should be listening to those who suffer the worst of capitalism's oppression. Because whether we like it or not, we're in this together. We have nobody else. Honestly. Yeah, Ronald Reagan completely destroyed, any revolutionary potential the working class could have had. And if they had to be honest, I used to believe there was some potential in America. Then reconsidering Reagan happened. I've listened to the audiobook of that, and I just what the fuck? If Americans are willing to overwhelmingly support a crypto fascist like Reagan, then what? The working class. Then what is the point of trying to convert these people? When you could be focusing on the lumpen? Yes, the lumpen are reactionary. There are some of them that are, But you know what? America is a reactionary society, so you can't be too picky. Oh, yes. I wish Trump had won again because Trump basically revealed everything that was wrong with America. Like, and the reason why I can speak this from experience of how racist American society is because I have family that are black. I have cousins that are black, and I've talked to my aunt about some of the same stuff I'm talking about right now, and she knows what's up. Honestly, nobody knows more than anyone how fucked up this system is than black people and Native Americans. They know this better than I do. And if we can get some lumpen whites, one of the things we got to do is deprogram, their minds when it comes to colonialism. Whiteness is something we should fucking fight against on every front. For those who are white, who are considered white, we need to fight against it because I am not American. I am not fucking white. I am Irish, and I'm fucking proud of my Irish heritage. And I think that's what we need to push more on, the white lumpen to find out about their, ancestral roots. By the way, this is me speaking. I'm not speaking for anyone else. Finding about their ancestral roots, learning about who they are. Because the average American, I'm not going to say this, the average white man, they have no fucking idea who they are. They have no idea where they come from. Because they're so trapped into this white supremacist culture. And if I have to be real, I actually think the natives and black people, or African Americans is probably more correct. They have a culture. They have far more pride in themselves than white people, in my opinion. What do whites have to be proud of, other than genocide and racism and imperialism? They have nothing to be proud of. I mean, if you read on Black history, there's so much stuff that a black man and black woman can be proud of, like the kind of music they've made, the kind of, thinkers they've had. There's a lot of shit they could be proud of. White Americans have nothing. And I think that's why they're scared. I think that's why they're scared of an increasing minority, because they're scared, because they have no idea who they are. They don't. They do not know who they are. And I believe the white man is weaker than the natives and the black man. The black man, they have a culture. They have a lot of things to be proud of. Whites don't have anything. And I'm speaking as somebody that's considered white. I have nothing to be proud of, except that's why I'm saying that if we had anything to be proud of, and we should be looking into the heritage of our countries that our ancestors came from. My ancestors come from Ireland, Scotland, Germany, and Sweden. That's where most of my ancestors came from. But I mostly identify with the Irish because that's what most of my mother's side of the family come from. No. I do not welcome you. I do not welcome Nazbols. Fuck off. I got rid of that fucker on the spot. Sorry. Yeah, I got rid of that fucker on the spot. I have zero tolerance for fucking, I don't think. Okay, no. I'm not explaining this well at all. No, I'm not saying we divide people on racial lines. I just think people need to learn about their roots. Everybody should learn about their roots. Any lumpen that we get, they should learn about their roots. And I'm just speaking positively about African American culture. And I feel like they do have something to be proud of, and whites don't. And this isn't dividing people on racial lines. I'm just stating a fact. Just look at the histories. It just look what look what whites have done and what they have invented. Look at the African Americans. Some of the music that most of us take for granted was invented in the black community. The blues, rock and roll. It's just one of the few examples. It's like they've done amazing things, and they have a lot to be proud of. Honestly. Well, the Nazbol is gone, so don't worry about that. He's gone because I will fucking block that motherfucker on the spot if they ever show up. Jesus, I think this stream has become something different than it was originally meant to become, but you know what? This is the benefit of doing this early. Well, I don't. Okay, here's the thing. What I propose, I believe a different strategy would be implemented than what I'm proposing. I don't propose. We say. I don't suggest we say kill Whitey, because the white man is not going to know what the hell that means. They're going to think it means white people when it means something completely different. So no, we do different strategies altogether. We're not going to tell them up front that they're wrong. They've done this and this and that. That's not what I'm advocating for. I'm advocating for a step-by-step decolonization from the mind, a step-by-step. We don't do it all at once. We do it slowly. We do it gradually. I'm not suggesting we do this all at once. That's not what I said. Hold on. Whatever you said, obnoxious anarchist. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that, obnoxious anarchist. Okay. I don't claim to know everything. I'm just a guy with a mic doing a live stream and just explaining, what I believe. Honestly. I'm pretty sure there's other people that have better ideas than I do, and I'm willing to listen to them. I'm a strong believer in decolonization. And I do believe descendants of Europeans, I'm referring to the ones who came after the originals. They are victims to some extent of colonialism, especially the Irish. I do feel like we should learn about our cultures, our cultural roots. But that could be a focus for something far later, after we deprogram them from reactionary crap from America, from Americanism. Yeah, the Irish have great anything to be proud of. I know an anarchist. It's just, to me, I don't feel like I'm qualified to say this. Okay, let's be honest here. Most of the people who are listening to this, I'm white. I'm a white guy, which I don't think I am, but it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what everyone else, sees or hears. I'm just a white guy telling people what they should and shouldn't do, and I feel like, yeah, to me, anybody that is a person of color or a native, they know more than me about this very subject. I'm just saying that decolonization is something we should all be doing. And that's what we should do to the lumpen, but not, like I said, we don't overwhelm them with information. In fact, when we recruit, somebody, into, a leftist movement, we don't overwhelm them with information. We don't do that. We focus on one thing at a time, and then when they learn this, we focus on that. I think the ancestral thing should be one of the last things we should be, doing. Because after that, then they could focus on everything else. Because I feel like Americanism, it needs to be discredited completely. Because Americanism is toxic to everybody. White supremacy is harmful to everybody. That includes, people who are supposedly white, because it strips, us of our identity. It strips us of everything that we were, that were our ancestors were. It erases, it's genocide. Because, let's be honest here. I'm pretty sure all of you are from diverse backgrounds. There is a huge difference between an English, a French, German, Russian, Italian, and Spaniard. There's a huge difference between all of these. But because of white supremacy, they're all, lumped as the same, with the exception of Russian, I guess. There's a huge difference in their cultures, and anyone that knows anything, even on surface level, of what these cultures are like, they're far different than the English. There's so much cultural diversity in Europe. But white supremacy wants you to make you believe otherwise. I mean, white supremacy is just ignorance of other people's cultures. And I feel like one way we could defeat imperialism is we have to reject white supremacy. We have to fight white supremacy no matter, where it is. Because it's a fucking English invention. We need to fucking destroy an invention of the English. Because you know what? Just because they say I'm white doesn't mean I fucking am. Being white, for me, is a mentality. It's believing you're superior to somebody else. And I don't believe it just has to do with your skin tone. Because if you look at all these Europeans, they don't look the same. They look vastly different from the English. Of course, you wouldn't know that because America, in its entertainment, make it so everybody is the same, whites, and that's not true at all. People who look white are not all the fucking same. They have different facial features. They have different hair. I mean, my fucking God. It's ignorant, and white supremacy breeds ignorance, and I don't tolerate ignorance. I'm just going to look at the chat. Let's see. I'm just looking. Yeah. Now, by the way, I'm speaking from from a European point of view mostly. No. Are you a Nazbol? And I'm being real, because my finger is very twitchy today. If you support a Nazbol, you're gone. Okay. No. Oh God. Why the fuck are the Nazbols here? Okay, why? Okay, are you guys Nazbols? Okay. To be on the... Okay. I'm putting you on timeout. Because I have no idea. Who the fuck are these people? I'm saying, are these Nazbols? Well, fuck them. I'm not bringing back the fucking Nazbols. No. Nazbols can go fuck themselves. Nazbols are fucking pieces of shit. No. This is exactly what I'm talking about. They just want to crash in on the party. I'm doing a good stream, and they would just want to ruin it. Yeah, fuck these Nazbols. Seriously, fuck them. Fucking idiots. Sorry, guys, that these idiots showed up and tried to crash the stream. I think this stream is going to have to be retitled because I've been talking about, cultural stuff for the past like almost 20 minutes. All right. If they show up, I just put them on timeout though. If they show up again, I'll block them because I wasn't 100% sure. Anyway. Okay, whites. Yeah. These people get so triggered when you fucking talk about this sort of thing. Yeah, fuck Vosh fans. In fact, I consider Vosh no different than a fucking Nazbol or a white supremacist. And here's the thing. Just deep, sorry. Won't be here long. Yeah. B-Level is going to do a stream on that later today. Stay tuned for that. Okay. Sorry. Nope. Goodbye. Vosh fans, Vosh tolerates Nazis, so would it fucking surprise me? It really wouldn't surprise me if honestly, if they were Vosh fans. Here's the thing. I was about to speak that until that moron came along. You would never get this deep discussion on BreadTube. The very idea of decolonization. You would never get this. You would never get deep colonization on, any of their streams. Why? Because they've ever talked about useless shit like drama between one YouTuber or another, or that thing. Yeah, I will ban the fascist scum. Trust me, if they show up, who is Vosh? Nobody worth talking about. Honestly. I agree, obnoxious anarchist. He gets more cringe by the day. But the thing is, this is a topic that is worth talking about. In fact, this is one of the reasons I became a third worldist. Because I feel like this entire topic intimidates, a lot of communists, in the Western world. It really does, because America, especially American communists, is this more applies to, don't really want to think, talk about, about the natives wanting their land back or decolonization, because I don't think they're bad people. I just don't think they actually know just how deep rooted fascism is in American culture. Because I refuse to let fucking, some dead person tell me who or what I am. I'm not white. I'm not fucking, anything but Irish. That's what I am. That's what I always will be. And nobody is going to tell me otherwise. And I feel like this is what we should be doing. We should learn about our ancestral roots, for those of you who don't know, and say loud and proudly that they're proud of the culture where they came from. That's what I believe they should be doing. This is why white supremacy is problematic. This is why white supremacy, is a disease. It muddies the waters. It destroys cultures. It, destroys anyone's pride in their own culture. And yeah, B-Level's a cool guy. He really is. He really is, a cool guy. And, I have nothing but respect for him. Yeah, he's done a lot, for me. That, yeah, Nazbol King. Wait. Well, I agree with white supremacy is retarded, but white supremacy has degraded so badly that no one can like your own ancestry as a white, but be considered a white supremacist. Hold on. Here's the thing. Irish are not white. Scottish aren't white. French aren't white. German aren't white. White is an invention by the British. And we should not fucking embrace something that the most evil empire in history fucking pushed on the world. Fuck white supremacy. I mean, yes, there's some things probably if you were French that you shouldn't be proud of, but the French do have some good things about their history too. Oh God. I just don't care a lot. Every Nazbol I've ever encountered has been a white supremacist. There's no exceptions. Well, I probably shouldn't talk about French, but I'm mostly speaking as someone that's from Ireland. At least my ancestors were. No, they did not. And here we have the Nazi. Sorry, don't tolerate Nazis. Jesus, this is triggering so many fucking Nazis. Fucking shit. The fact that they get so triggered over, me talking about whiteness. Fucking Christ almighty. Well, it's like, come on. You see what the stupidity I'm talking about? White supremacists don't know anything about their own history. Most of these white supremacists are not even as white as they think they are. It's honestly. Yes, I agreed. I agree with this statement completely. Whiteness does not exist. It's a construct invented by the British as a way to justify the intergalactic. Well, sorry, intergalactic. What the fuck am I talking about? The slave trade at the time. He's gone. I purged him. I pay attention to the stream very well. If I have to be honest here, I think this is the best stream I've done actually solo, and I'm surprised. As unfortunate it is that my mom passed away, it has given me some motivation to vent, and this is a way to vent. I don't know. I actually think they just like the aesthetics. That's what I think. I think they just care mostly about the aesthetics. That's what I personally believe. I don't think they actually believe in anything. And I think that's how you can look at Nazbols. They don't really believe anything, honestly, but they are annoying and they are dangerous, and they are the kind of people that we shouldn't take lightly. I think they do. I think it's all aesthetic. Everything's aesthetic with these people. Not, fascist. It's all aesthetic. They don't care about anything but the superficial aspect. If they see something that looks cool, oh, okay, fuck off. I have zero tolerance for this shit. Okay, no, but okay, anyone that says something like that, no, I'm sorry. That's fucking too far. What a fucking piece of shit. Jesus. I just blocked that guy because that guy confirmed to be a Nazi. Jesus. These chuds are all the fucking same. I swear to fucking God, they're all the goddamn same. Oh my God, these people. Dude, this stream has triggered these people. Jesus Christ. Anyway, I feel like I'm going to repeat myself if I continue this. So I think I'll just, get to the ending of the stream. Watch B-Level stream later today. He has some very important stuff to talk about with the India strike, the largest strike in the history of the world. At least I think it is. Whatever. It's one of the biggest strikes in history. I'll just say that. I'm not familiar with what goes on in India. And I will end it with this. Death to America, death to Israel, death to fascism, death to Zionism, and long live the RIA, long live Hamas, and long live the Bundes movement. Thank you, everybody, and see you guys next time with another video.